Hi everyone, this is Leroy from Fiskal, and today we're going to discuss assemblies in Cin7 Core. So first off, what is an assembly? An assembly is the process where you consume raw materials or several individual items to create one single finished product. Um, so assemblies are the main core function in manufacturing of Cin7 Core. Where they take the individual parts and make a finished product. So there are three common scenarios where you would use assemblies. When you do manufacturing to build a new product from using several individual parts, kitting or bundling for sale. So you can have a coffee mug, a bag of coffee beans, and a box of biscuits, and you assemble that together and sell it as a morning coffee kit. Or you can repackage. So for example, you have a 20-liter drum of olive oil and you use an assembly to make 40 500 milliliter bottles of olive oil. Before you can start an assembly, there are a few things you must make sure that you've got set up and ready to go to ensure the process runs smoothly. So firstly, you would need a bill of materials. So a bill of materials is a recipe which tells Cin7 Core which components to consume, how many of those components to make the finished product. So to give you an idea, we're going to be building a table today. So if you look at the wooden table here, you have to tell it that an assembly BOM is necessary in this drop down on the product card. Once you do that, it gives you the bill of materials option here on the left menu, and this is where you add your recipe. So you've got wooden legs that you would need 4 of. You've got a set of screws that you need 1 is a complete set, and you need a tabletop for this table, just 1 of. You add your cost per units if it doesn't populate automatically. And then here at the bottom, you can add labor costs or overhead costs, which is very important to make sure that you've got accurate profit reporting. At the top here, it tells you that all of these units that you're going to be using is going to produce 1 tabletop or a wood table 4-seater. So the bill of materials is crucial. You can't do any assemblies without the bill of materials. The next thing, and this is probably the most frequent reason that an assembly is not possible at a certain point in time, is to make sure that you've got enough stock available of the components. So these 3 components, just do a quick availability check. You can see there they are. I've got on hand and available of both. I've got 12 12 legs, 19 sets of screws, and 2 tabletops. So let's build a product. What you're going to want to do is you go to production and you create a new assembly. You have to choose the location that you're going to be manufacturing the finished product in, and where your components come from as well. And then we need to choose the product that we want to build. So it will populate the product name. It tells you where the work in progress account is, or what it is, and where your finished goods would go. Then you've got your work in progress date. So this is when it would start, and this is when you want to finish it, if you know how long it's going to take. We need to tell it how many we want to make. So we're going to make just 1. But a nice feature is using the max quantity button, refresh it, and it will tell you with all the components that you have, you can make a total of 2 complete tables. Down here, you need to load your bill of materials. So you can add individually or load your bill of materials. So what you would see is the completed recipe that we saw on the product card. Here it shows the labor that we've got with all the costs per component, including the labor or additional costs. And it gives you a total cost for 1 table of 327. When you authorize the product or the assembly order, it allocates the stock so that it can't be sold for all your components, and it makes it safe so that you can use it once it's done. As soon as you're done with that, you go to your picking phase, and you can pick from your assembly order and allocate the stock for the production. You will see the total cost is less than what we saw on the assembly order because you can't physically pick the labor. So it shows you a value of 315 instead of 327. Crucial to this process is to complete the assembly order. If you don't complete the assembly order, it won't finish all the steps and you won't get your new inventory availabilities for the finished product. If you look at your financials tab, you can see that it has debited and credited the accounts where necessary with the values as we put into the bill of materials and in the assembly order. So once this is done, we can have a look at our availability, and we should see an additional table where there was none. And you can see that we've got one less tabletop, we've got fewer screws and fewer legs. So that is how to use assemblies in Cin7 Core to manufacture a finished product from components that you have after you've created a bill of materials. So a few key things to remember is a bill of materials is your foundation. Everything starts with a correct bill of materials. Make sure that you've got the stock available to complete the assembly. And remember, when you authorize, it allocates the stock, preventing it from being sold to someone else. The moment you authorize the assembly BOM, and completion is final. An assembly cannot be undone. So to reverse it, it would need to be done via disassembly. And that's how to make assemblies.
Thank you, everyone.